to Tasmania, Caro. It was a fascinating weekend. Like it was eye-popping to see the Essendon fans go on scale to Launceston. Yep. 14,500 there on the weekend, and it was emotional. It was quite a sea of bombers on the highway up from Hobart. There were reports all over the island. What does this tell us about the state of footy in Tassie and North Melbourne in particular?
Well, it tells us that Tasmania do not want North Melbourne. North Melbourne have told the AFL they are not going to Tasmania. Tasmanian football fans have voted with their feet. The scenario down in Hobart on the weekend was that they could barely improve the crowd from last week's woeful 3,500. I think 5,000 turned up for the Brisbane game against North Melbourne, not helped by the fact that 2 weeks ago...
And this weekend, by the way, the Suns looms as the biggest... crowd problem in the history of Tassie.
How do the people of Hobart feel that they're copping these games against a side, North Melbourne, who they feel has done nothing to ingratiate themselves into the community? This is what the CEO, Ben Amafio, wrote to Tasmanian fans the week before, Craig, the GWS game. He's basically saying that while it won't be the major factor, surely a significant proof of public support, a point to support the case for Tasmanian fans is voting with their feet and packing out AFL matches held in their own backyards. Vaguely threatening, in my view, and did not go down well with Tasmanian fans at all. I've heard Matthew Richardson on this subject, and yet you look at what happened in Launceston. Clearly Hawthorn are far more popular than North Melbourne, but look, the Colin Carter review is now 3 or 4 weeks away.
Clearly Essendon are more popular than Hawthorn, by the looks of it.
Yeah. Well, they were on the weekend. Yeah. 3 or 4 weeks will come the Colin Carter review. I really hope he suggests that Tasmania deserve their own side and not a relocated side. I fear that that is where the AFL is going. I think it's wrong. A 19th team is not the end of the world, even if we have an uneven number of teams. For one thing, we'd get rid of these dreadful mid-season bye rounds that I know, Kane, you loathe. 5 games a week. I mean, this week was bookended by 2 great games, but 3 shockers in the middle and nothing else to look forward to. You could, every team, Craig, and you've spoken about this, every side could have a bye every week and you have 9 games a weekend.
Where's it going?
You have 8 games a weekend.
I know we were going to move on, Hutch, but where do you think in reality...
you have 9 games a weekend and the 19th team gets a bye. Yeah,
I think there's an argument to give everyone 3 teams a bye around and sift the competition out a little bit further, but a few different models.
The reality of this, Hutch...
Whichever way you cut it, Tasmania deserve their own team. It is so simple. There is a supporter base there that will support their own and do it ferociously. They no longer want to support anyone else's unless it's an abnormal event like Essendon coming to town. And there is
if they had their own team, Essendon would come to town.
And there's no downside in giving them a team. And the myth about there not being enough money there is a fallacy. It'll be a fully underwritten team by the state government, and most of the corporate money comes out of the mainland anyway.
So you wonder why the Gold Coast chairman of all people... Can we have a listen to Tony Cochrane's comments the other day?
My issue here isn't with it being in Tasmania or being in the Northern Territory. My issue is the 19th franchise. We cannot, as an industry, afford a 19th franchise under any circumstances. The money is not there. The depth of playing group is not there. We cannot afford to be spreading the money so thin that instead of having 1 or 2 that are struggling, we're going to end up with 3 that are struggling or 4 that are struggling. From a business point of view, that would be insanity. From a pure fan base point of view, it would be nuts.
Yeah. Clearly totally hypocritical and ridiculous, him of all people, whose club has never had any success and who is just pillaging the AFL's coffers with money every year for no return. And it only showed how bad an argument it was when they only got 7,000 and didn't fire a shot this weekend either.
I admire his honesty and his availability, but is there one person in footy less entitled to have a view on Tasmania
and to tell 17 other presidents which way they're going to be voting?
If the AFL had their time again, and this is not the main elephant in the room tonight, but if they had their time again, would they have put their hundreds of millions into the Tasmania now, or you still think that they'd say, no, we've done the right thing?
They actually don't need to put any money in. Like, they've got a fully funded government owner right on the table. Like, it's amazing to think that they don't take it.
It's certainly
so you're the businessman, Hutchie. How would you address this? Like, what's the time frame? If you're the AFL, you're running it, you're making the decisions that Tassie could realistically have a team in this competition.
I've been a fan from day one. Just give them a team. What's the downside?
So next year?
Well, however long it takes to get ready.